When you look at the midsize sport utility or crossover segment, sometimes it really comes down to the power under the hood. What is the best choice? Oftentimes a 4-cylinder is just the right fit, really with the size of the vehicle, delivering that fuel economy. But often the Throwback Thursday V6 is an even better choice. Now before we get into the Brawn, let's talk about the beauty of the Blazer. Its wide stance, low profile, and pretty much tight body lines. You will see a little bit of flare out at the 4 corners, almost liposuctioning in through the middle. Now in this segment, say it's kind of a mixed bag. Some options being too chiseled, others too plain Jane. The Blazer, in my opinion, really dressing things up and looking very premium-esque. And where you see it is in the subtle design choices, really right through here with an upper midline, really disappearing right here at the back end. Another fluid architecture look is sweeping down right through here and subtly disappearing as you get to the front. Obviously a little bit of tightening up through the middle and lower fascia all the way around. After all, this isn't just a front-wheel drive option vehicle, but an all-wheel drive, so some protection at the lower third doesn't hurt. Now, one big design feature I've seen across the industry, which is found here in the Blazer, is this implied separation from the body to the roofline, usually with nice darkened accents like we'd see here that sweeps to the back pillar, really almost knifing across, separating the two elements. That gives kind of that fluid look of aerodynamics with the air literally sweeping through the vehicle. Now, what's also great is these darkened accents really can be found throughout the vehicle, up top, down low, and at the grille warfare. That truly works out well in this particular model, especially with the white contrasting body color. Now, another big thing to talk about is the size of this vehicle. First off, overall about 191 inches long, wheelbase around about 112. I talked about earlier about the width of this vehicle, around about 76 inches. The low height, about 67. But lastly is ground clearance, because after all, this particular model is all-wheel drive, so getting off the beaten path may be an option, and this gives you about 7.4 inches of ground clearance. Now, before we get into the business end of things, let's talk about the ingress into the vehicle. And what I like, the Blazer does it very well, really giving an access button at every entry point. And that's something that's not found across this segment, because a lot of vehicles are really got an Achilles heel, only given an access at the front. That means it's a two-step process, and when it's raining outside, who wants to go here to get into the back seat? Now, the way it works is just simply press it once for the driver, press it again, opens all the rest. Now, naturally, if you're at any other points, it's obviously going to unlock there. Now, the advantage to only unlocking the driver when they're coming up is if you're by yourself, it's dark out, do we really need to unlock all the rest? Because if someone is hiding in a blind spot, well, if we unlock the whole vehicle, that's an easy entry point. So I think it's a nice safety feature when you can unlock in stages. Now, sweep around to the back. This is the 3LT, so it does come with some premium features. First off, you do obviously have the backup sensors, backup camera, but also a nice power lift rear hatch. Now, interestingly, with my 6'2" frame, I'm expecting it to be somewhere around here, but that's actually where the housing is for the cameras, but instead it's going to be right here. Simply opens up with ease. Now, once that is open, what you're going to have is decent cargo space, around about 30 cubic feet. With the second row lay flat, it's going to be more than double to around about 64. Now, with this open, what you're going to notice is it's possibly a head-banging affair for anyone that's 6 foot, 6'2" or more. Really not a big deal, because once you do it once, hopefully you won't do it again. But once you get into about right here with the natural arcing of the rear hatch, plenty of cathedral-like feel, really allows you to get in here with ease. Now, with the overall cargo space, you're looking at nice, wide, squared-off design, really allows big items to squeeze in with ease. Diving into the cargo just a little bit more, first off, what you're going to have is handles on either side that's going to tumble these seats forward versus having to go inside and do it manually first. Underneath the cargo, what I like is what lies beneath: a nice spare tire and some compartments to keep items in, maybe that you keep in the car all the time. Oftentimes a big aggravation is this rear floor, because, well, when you're trying to hassle with things back here, this can just be in the way. But they make it simple with this nice little tether right here that holds it out of the way. When it comes to guerrilla warfare here on the Blazer, it's not just about this huge open air offering through the middle, but also the other design elements that bring this front end together. And where it starts is this subtle approach here on the hood. Nice raised element through the middle, but slopes down here on the outer side. Almost shaved to perfection on the outer portion, giving a curve to the overall look of this front end. Also, that gives a nice implied haunches at the front end as well. Now, as you sweep around, one thing you'll notice is the chrome accent. About the only chrome you're going to find emblazoned here on this model, really sweeping all the way across the front. Chevy emblem, of course, dead right in center. Now, what that also does is give kind of a two-tier approach to this grille with a little bit of airflow through here, but obviously most of it being gobbled up in the lower section. But the bigger conversation might be the headlight design. When it comes to guerrilla warfare, it's no longer just about what's going on there in the middle, but obviously the headlight designs are helping to give a huge impact to the overall look at the front end. Obviously back in the day, pretty much straightforward offerings with cylinders and square shapes and so on. Now this is where we're headed. Now what you're seeing here on the Blazer, this upper is just your accent light, your daytime running light. This is truly your headlight, and I would argue with it being lower, maybe it does provide a lot more throw and brightness down the road. Obviously down low is your turn signal. One aspect I do like about the Blazer versus some of the competition, when you turn your turn signal on, it does not kill your accent light. Now this is something I've seen across the industry, that when this comes on, this for whatever reason turns off and obviously stays on the other side, but I just don't like how that works on other vehicles, and like the fact that this is always illuminating no matter what you're doing with your turn signal. Now the big story here on the Blazer is the new option under the hood, specifically the 2.0 liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder. Now it's going to deliver 230 horses and 258 foot-pounds of torque. It is coupled still to a 9-speed automatic transmission. Now that versus the standard 2.5 liter, which comes with 193 horses, or the bigger 3.6 liter V6 that delivers 308 horses. Now the Blazer measures up pretty much in the upper mid-size segment, really by the numbers, and what that means is it should deliver quite well here on the inside, specifically when it comes to legroom numbers, and I must agree it does very well. Now what you're going to notice is around about 41 inches in the front, 39 inches in the back, and for my 6'2" frame, well, there's no knee scraping affair, and this seat back is positioned about as far back as it can go. And again, I still have plenty of breathing room between my knees. Now, as for overall comfort, pretty much just a standard bench styling here on the bottom, but nice and cushiony. A little bit of individualized attention here on the outer sides, and nice changing for the seat back with this handle here to give a little bit of reclinability on those long trips. Airflow and connectivity are another big feature here at the back of the Blazer. First off, with nice airflow at the back of the center console up above, and connectivity down here in the form of USB, USB-C, and a standard household outlet. Front center on the dash, you're going to find a nice, huge, oversized touchscreen system, specifically the MyLink. It's real easy to use. Always been impressed with it. Now, what you're looking at here specifically is the entertainment area. You can hit the shortcut down here for the home screen. That's going to give you all the different apps. You can just simply scroll back and forth, but all the shortcuts are down below. Now, interestingly, a lot of competition is going with more of a split home screen. Allows you to see multiple things. Not the case that I've seen on MyLink. Otherwise, just a huge display on a particular selection that you are on, but obviously got navigation and as well as climate controls. Now, one feature I do like is the climate control system being up above, because again, for most drivers to glance down, and as you can tell, the controls for the climate are kind of hidden under this dash element, so really going to the screen to me is a lot easier. Looking a little bit closer at the climate control system, first thing you'll notice is really these cylinder shapes when it comes to the airflow, smaller ones on the outer side of the dash. Now really all you have to do is just simply turn them left or right. That's going to change the temperature select, nice and innovative there, and the temperature reading is right above. And if you want to close them, you can simply turn the knob in the middle. Now one feature I wish they would do is, since we're doing more of a turn integration with the controls, is to do the same thing when it comes to fan speed. Just simply put a knob here in the middle because, well, it's just the operation we're using, and to find this control for fan speed is a little bit harder, especially as you're driving, to dive in. Now naturally, once you have this vehicle longer than I've had, this will be kind of second hand knowledge as you're moving through. Now what I also like though is the indicator right through here with the illumination, giving you the fan speed in a visual sense. Controls for the all-wheel drive system are found right behind the gear shifter, as well as dual cup holders. Now there is a nice area for your phone or electronic devices to put here. Interestingly, this isn't the wireless charging, though I do think this probably is an option area to put your phones and let them charge wirelessly. If you need to, there is connectivity up above in the form of USB-C and USB. One area I'm used to is having the start stop button down in this area, so to find it up here, well, it just took a second to get used to, but I do like it is a little bit more visually appealing and easier to find. Now down below, one button you're going to want to know is the auto start, auto stop feature. A lot of vehicles getting away from even making this an option to turn off, but I like the fact that Blazer keeps it so you can turn that feature off that shuts down the engine when you come to start and stops. Now on a cold day, one thing that does help out are heated seats, and front seat drivers did have that option. 3 different levels you can dial in for your specific comfort level. One thing that was missing in my opinion was the heated steering wheel. That usually couples nicely when you have heated seats. That does for this edition. We're on a test drive behind the wheel of the 2020 Chevrolet Blazer with that new turbocharged engine, a niche power plant between the smaller 4-cylinder and the bigger V6. And what that means is at the end of the day, more options for the consumer. And with all the options on the road, well, it might just be that Chevy is now their new choice. Now, as always, thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.